La Crosse Local is proud to be a sponsor of the La Crosse Winter Roots Festival, taking place Saturday, February 12th. We invite you to celebrate music, cuisine, artists, makers, brewers, and distillers in the new La Crosse Center Riverside Ballroom. Musical entertainment includes Dan Sobronic, Reed Grimm, Tug, The Remainders, Greg Hall and the Wrecking Ball, and the Trippin' Billies, the nation's most renowned Dave Matthews tribute band. La Crosse Winter Roots Festival is presented by the La Crosse Center, La Crosse Local, and with special thanks to The Remainders.
I'm going home. Hey, I'm going home.
Find out more information and how to get tickets at lacrosselocal.com. Today we chatted with home baker, griller, and smoker of meats, Richard Chrz of Fairchild Kitchen. We dove into the beginnings of his love of smoking and baking and learned about some of his favorite recipes. We also delve into recent fundraisers done by Richard to raise some much-needed funds. You can find more conversations, food reviews, live music, and events at our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is La Crosse Local.
My first name is Richard. My last name is Chrz, without a vowel, so it's Chrz. I'm 49 years old. I just turned a few days ago. And I'm originally from Austin, Minnesota, but I am a transplant to La Crosse longer than I've lived anywhere else. So La Crosse is my home. As far as how did I get into cooking or baking or any of that stuff. So behind my head, you'll see a headrest. I'm in a power wheelchair. Lost use of my legs a little in 2018. I found myself sitting in infusions, 4 infusions a week, every other week, for over almost 2.5 years. And I was sitting in there for 5 to 6 hours at a time. So it was kind of like a full-time job just to sit there and get this medicine to help. But I was left with that time, right? At that point, I'm no longer employed, and I've got this time, and I realized that I wasn't learning anything, and I needed to engage myself in something to keep this time. And honestly, haven't we all wished that we had a little bit of time to kind of reinvent and recreate? So I looked at it as an opportunity. And I love food, so it was pretty easy to go down the idea of outdoor cooking and to see where it took me. It took me into bread. It's taken me into lots of different things. But that's how I got into it. Really, was just I needed to occupy time. I needed to learn something.
So where did the idea for the Fairfield Kitchen get its start? I mean, you kind of have a fan page in some ways. It looks like you're doing fundraisers on there. How did the idea for the Facebook fan page get started?
It's kind of a joke. It's also the gift of being married to a graphic artist. Lots of friends started joking with me that they wanted to come over to my kitchen to eat, or boy, if they could hire me to cook for them. I live on Fairchild Street. So I just decided that one night, I said, you know what, I'm going to call our patio Fairchild Kitchen. And my wife laughed at me. And the next morning I woke up with this logo. So it kind of spawned from that it was just a joke, but it's fun. I enjoy Fairchild Kitchen. Yes, there is a page for it on Facebook, and it's a way for people that are maybe wanting to even bake bread, but they're having questions and they don't know how, and they're not even sure which YouTube site to trust within that method. Is they can come onto my page and we can talk about my loaf, right? Why it comes out the way it does, and maybe do a little help. I've got someone in England using my recipe right now. I've got someone on the East Coast that's baking their very first 2 loaves tomorrow, following my methods. So it kind of came into that. It came into the idea of my friends want to learn recipes for, say, my chili or stuff like that. It turned out I'm not very good at doing a blog and then taking it over and promoting it to Facebook. And then rather than filling up my whole Facebook page with just recipes, I decided to take this on here. So here's where we can talk about that food, and here's where I give a tip about how I do, or even a tool from an accessibility standpoint. I can give it a review for, like, if my hands can use this, can you imagine how your hands could use this? And so it kind of started off as it's just very basic. Here's my place to talk about food. I just enjoy so many aspects of it. So
do you get a lot of people reaching out related with, similar sort of, I guess, with it's lupus, right?
Yeah, yep. I have lupus, and I'm also a type 1 diabetic as well.
So do you have other people reaching out about cooking and stuff like that that've seen it?
You know, not really, but I have people that reach out and they say they're inspired by it. But what I always kind of say is 50 different people with 50 different disabilities with 50 different abilities. And, just because one person in a chair can do it doesn't mean that the next person can. And if there's anything that I'm trying to do for other patients with this is to let them know that to start the conversations on like, so this is one side of mental wellness, in our healthcare and in our own, when we have something, there's a way for us to go and engage in things and find yourself in that and find your conversation, but also to talk about the ideas like my chair has a little bit extra features in it that are not standard. And boy, if we did those extra features in everyone's chair, maybe more people could cook, right? They could raise their chair up to a countertop, so where lots of chairs can't do that. So it's a little bit of used in that way as well. I guess I get lots of people messages saying that, the positive feel of everything that I do from that standpoint.
Right now, I think I just saw recently you're doing these sort of, I think it was rack of ribs, but you're doing kind of a fundraiser with it. Can you kind of explain those, or maybe how people can get involved, or are you looking for help with those?
Yeah, so go up Fairchild Kitchen Facebook page. So the point of this is I'm overly blessed with friends that want to help somehow, some way. And they also know that this is a chronic disease. So it's not that one fundraiser would ever take care of all of the needs down the road. But as someone who is so blessed to have so many friends that want to help, I needed a way to say thank you back for your friendship and your support of what I'm doing. And so I offered up 2 loaves of bread and said, would anyone want these 2 loaves of bread at a donation? Look at it as a GoFundMe, but instead you're going to get something back in return. And I really kind of expected I might get 4 or 5 people, but I within a couple weeks I had a waiting list of up to 70 people on it.
Wow.
Yeah, right. And being that smoking food and barbecue was what I learned before I went into bread. I also started offering up the idea that not many places around here you can get a perfectly smoked rack of ribs or barbecue. If you're wanting to do that GoFundMe for me, how about in return now, though, I give you a rack of ribs and a loaf of bread in return. So my gratitude for your donation is that your family gets to have a meal. And if there's other ways that we can work that where, I can help out with graduation parties, which I just was recently asked by some musicians, I think about 50 to 75 musicians that want me to smoke for a outdoor amphitheater this fall. And then hopefully we're going to even probably do maybe like a once a month, like kind of like an underground barbecue. Here's your picnic meal, and right, the first 20 people that sign up for it, take it.
Being friends with you on Facebook, but also following the Fairchild Kitchen on Facebook. What are some of your top or favorite go-to recipes?
Oh boy. I mean, the recipes themselves or the meal menu.
Yeah, menu or something maybe.
I mean, one of my favorite things is I love an all day red sauce. So I use like a San Marzano. It's a whole peeled tomato from Italy. And the trick to those is you want to get whole peeled, not crushed or diced, because the whole peeled, they can't hide blemishes, right? So you're getting the better tomatoes to hand crush, and then you get some fresh basil in there. I like to put some crushed red pepper, half an onion. I leave them together, a carrot broken up in 5-6 pieces. All those things you're going to take out later, but I'll bake that down for 7 hours. And then that becomes my spaghetti sauce or my lasagna sauce. And it's just one of those things, especially right now, this time of year, right? It's starting to get cool to have that oven going, which, by the way, I've also done it on a grill. I've done that red sauce for 7 hours on a grill as well. My favorite meals are, my favorite meals are pizza, spaghetti, lasagna. But what I've learned is I like to smoke the meatballs and do a classic 3-meat American Italian with all the great fat in there and smoke it first. And then, so you get to add that layer of that outdoor cooking to it. And if you want, if it's a nice day, just go cook it on the grill, all of it, right? The grill to me is just an oven with a lid that I get to play with fire in, which is more cool than my indoor oven.
No kidding, man. It sounds, just watching it, it's just kind of like a whole experience. I mean, it seems like a TV show, a cooking show. It's really great to kind of follow along and see what you're having, but also knowing it's going on in La Crosse. So if people want to follow along, what's the best avenue? Maybe they want to, donate to the fundraiser, maybe get on the list for the bread or the meats. What's the best avenue for them to go to?
I would say go to Fairchild Kitchen on Facebook, and there'll be just for people to identify, because sometimes different groups come up. There will be a picture of me, I think, sideways in the wheelchair for the profile photo of Fairchild Kitchen page, so you'll know you're at the right place.
And weren't you also just recently in some sort of competition last couple of months?
This summer, so I mean this year, I competed in the America's Favorite Chef. We figured there was about 26,000 people started that online, and I made the top 64 on that. This summer, I was blessed to be part of a 3-man barbecue with Kyle Carrick and Sean McManus in a competition, and we swept it. We took first in chicken and in pork. And then I also turn in my cooks to a place called AmazingRibs.com. They have like 70,000 plus members. They highlight about 10 cooks a month. This year, so far, I think I have made all but 1 month where I've been featured.
La Crosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at La Crosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com. And you can subscribe to the La Crosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.